It's Thursday. You know what that means. Usually it means a review of AEW Dynamite and NXT here on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. But Ralph, we're doing something different as we all know the news that happened last Saturday, the tragic passing of Brodie Lee. We've seen lots of tributes from WWE, AEW, including last night on AEW Dynamite, which I thought was a very, very good tribute, a very good episode of AEW Dynamite. We're not going to review it like we normally would, but just want to say how great of a job AEW did.
Yeah, they definitely did a very good job, especially considering everything that has been going on this past week. A lot of people commenting on the unfortunate and untimely passing. I think that even when we first started discussing this, going back to maybe some of the reasons why we didn't want to do a tribute show, because that was something everybody was commenting, everybody was asking us, are you going to review Dynamite this week? Are you going to talk about Brodie Lee? And initially, I think we said no. The main reason I felt like we shouldn't do, a tribute show or really review Dynamite was because you and I, we have this podcast, but at the end of the day, we're fans, right? We're fans that grew up watching professional wrestling.
Right.
We don't have an in at any company. We don't get scoops from anybody inside any company. We really just do reaction shows, review certain things, and we're lucky enough to have a pretty loyal fan base that continues to grow, and we're grateful for that. But we don't have a personal relationship with Brodie Lee or anybody that has worked with Brodie Lee. We've been lucky enough to watch his career, so we felt like it may have been kind of like a letdown or disingenuous to really speak on behalf of him. You know what I mean? Because the wrestlers, all of the support that you've gotten and that you've seen from just everybody he's interacted with, whether it's been from WWE to AEW, it's been nothing but positive stuff, nothing but good things that you've heard. And we wanted to let the people that have actually worked alongside him be the ones to tell that story, not necessarily us.
Exactly.
That was why we weren't going to do something like this. After last night watching the show, I think we both talked about it and we felt like we should do something.
Yeah.
Because it was a very good show.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, it's hard to really do these tributes because, in any year, there's so many tragic deaths that happen, not just in the world, like professional wrestling, it happens. And if you just talk about all these tragedies, it becomes such a negative podcast to do. But I think in this case, just the overall positivity that he had and such the suddenness of it, I think it was really worth it because I think this really taught us a lesson as wrestling fans, I think. And that lesson is you can go a night, and if not, maybe even longer, where put tribalism aside, put ratings talks aside, bad storylines, criticisms on tag rules, burying referees, burying wrestlers. Take that to the wayside for one night and just enjoy 2 hours of a program where these guys are giving it their all. And it showed in this 2 hours of Dynamite. And that's what we got. And it doesn't matter what promotion you work for. We know people from AEW, obviously, were there to pay tribute to Brodie. People from WWE were watching AEW Dynamite while NXT is going on. Instead, to pay respects to Brodie, you had people from Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, no matter the promotion, no matter what fandom you were watching Dynamite last night because of the impact Brodie Lee has left. Whether you're a fan of the Luke Harper gimmick, the Brodie Lee gimmick, what he did in the independent scene, it was such a great tribute, and you could see the emotion from these wrestlers last night. And that last segment where you saw Brodie Jr. getting the TNT championship as a TNT champion for life, I thought was just a great way to end the show as well.
Certainly was. That was one of the most newsworthy things. And just kind of going back on what you said, I knew this was a big deal when I had gone on social media and gone on Twitter and saw so many wrestlers, including people who work within WWE, while NXT is going on, pretty much paying tribute to Brodie Lee and letting you know that they're watching AEW Dynamite. So this was a big moment, not just for AEW to pay tribute to him, but also just wrestling in general. For everybody to put their differences aside for one night, and really unite under this one thing to ensure that they recognized a really good man. And I think that's probably the most surprising thing. To us or to people who don't personally know him is the way he was able to touch so many lives positively within the wrestling community. Just about every single person that has worked with him has had something positive to say, which is it's disappointing because such an untimely thing at such a young age, only 41 years of age. I mean, that's only 6 or 7 years older than I am, so it's crazy to think about that and try to wrap your head around it. And, I think AEW definitely did a great job. I noticed during the tribute video that they did certainly have pictures of a lot of WWE wrestlers as well. So if WWE gave them their permission to use those pictures, good on them. I know a lot of times people are critical of WWE for doing petty things. That wasn't the case last night. And WWE even posted a very good tribute video on YouTube this afternoon as well.
Yeah, and I do want to touch on that a little bit because I know there's some people that were like, why didn't WWE do a video package and go all out on Raw? I honestly believe it was the right move to just go with the slate and dedicate Raw to Brodie on Monday. They won the coin toss and they elected to defer. I believe in this case, AEW Dynamite was the right show to do this tribute for. Yes, I understand he has a long career in WWE under the Luke Harper gimmick and did a lot there, with the Wyatt family and the Bludgeon Brothers and stuff like that. But you look at the last 6 months of his career and what an impact he did. He turned over an entire faction with the Dark Order. Yep. He was a main event player as soon as he got there, challenging for the AEW championship within a month of getting there against Jon Moxley, beat Cody Rhodes for the TNT championship, all within a span of 6 months. And he was a focal point on AEW Dynamite that whole time.
Right.
So it was the right call to have Dynamite. And especially because I think more people that he has worked with have focused and have had that relationship long-term with Brodie, with like Moxley and Kingston, than they have with WWE. And yes, granted, like Xavier Woods and Kofi have a great relationship with him. But like I said, it's the right move to have AEW do the tribute.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I felt like they should have been the company, especially because it was the last company he had worked for. And despite it only being however long it was, 6 months, 8 months, however long he was actually there, he certainly accomplished a lot in a short amount of time, being able to get the Dark Order to, at least a point where after last night, I genuinely have a feeling that after everything is said and done, the Dark Order, which a majority of the time before he was even there, people were just not into it. They felt like they were a joke. And, we always talk about this. When you're a top guy in the industry, and not just in wrestling, but anywhere you go, you know how to bring the best out in people. And even if you're not a fan of Silver and Reynolds, even if you're not a fan of the Dark Order, I think that all fans who watch professional wrestling or AEW in general can agree that he brought the best out in the group, and he certainly brought the best out in Silver and Reynolds to the point where even if you're not a fan of them, you know who they are. They feel somewhat important. So I think that's certainly a part of the legacy that he's going to leave behind. And there's really not much you can say. It's just such an unfortunate thing that happened. And I think that overall AEW definitely did a great job honoring him. It was definitely tough to watch and a lot to take in, but I think between all of the outpouring support and everything AEW did, everything WWE has done, they really honored him the best way that they could.
Totally agree. They really did. And at the end of the day, this was a great wrestler. And from what we've seen on social media, from the tributes, a great man. and most importantly, a great father. You know, Ralph, you're a father. I'm going to be a father in April. Obviously, this is a role model that we can look at, you know, as how great of a father he is. And you saw that with Brodie Lee Jr., -1, you know, being there and being so, you know, people out there and looking out for him on this episode of Dynamite, having him sit at the front row, sitting next to Brian Pillman Jr., who is going through this very same thing at a very young age.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was just such a touching moment. And seeing even in a heel way, Kingston and MJF honoring Brodie Lee while still keeping character and giving heat just shows you how great this guy was and what a great way to tribute him, where it might have not been the most canon episode, but they still had the show go on and pay tribute, and they did a phenomenal job. And that's really the only thing you could say about it. They did a phenomenal job. And honestly, it was a perfect tribute to a great man.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, like I said at the beginning of this, we were really hesitant to create this episode because we didn't want to take away from the people who actually had known him personally or professionally. But hopefully this tribute, like last night's tribute on AEW, lived up to the expectation that people expected out of us, because we had a lot of people reach out to us. Are you going to talk about this? Are you going to cover it? And we were really hesitant to do it, but at least now you have our thoughts and know where we stand on it. And hopefully it means something to somebody.
Yeah, it does. And if you guys want to, we have the comment section. Whatever thoughts you have of Brodie Lee, Luke Harper, whoever, Jon Huber, you think of him as, let us know in the comments. This has been a, you know, horrible year in 2020, but I think a closing note that I think we could live on a positive side. Brodie Lee made the wrestling business better. He left it on a better note. Hopefully we can learn from this and bring 2021 a great year for fans around the world. So rest in peace, Brodie Lee, Luke Harper, Jon Huber, Ralph Valenti. My name is Michael Valenti. Thank you for watching the Squared Circle Psychobabble.